So in places where you've sorted out all the big things, so the house is sorted, the pension's sorted, when you then come to talk to the client around what do you do with the contents of the house? I don't know about you, but I find that this can sometimes be even more acrimonious than sorting out the house.
Honestly, Abby, contents gives me nightmares. It is such a difficult thing. As you say, you've spent so much time dealing with the really important things. And I've had times where even when you've been in court and you've been there all day dealing with houses, pensions, holiday homes, and then you're there for another 4 hours talking about the old sofa. And you think, how much time and money have you spent talking about that sofa? You could have bought 3 of those sofas by now. And, I think with contents, it can get really silly. I mean, there's different ways of dealing with it. I mean, the ideal is that you divide contents by agreements and it's not a legal issue. If the house is being sold, you're both able to work together and decide who gets what. I mean, some people write a list of what they want and then it gets sent to the other side and they agree or disagree. I mean, you were saying that you had one of those lists recently and it was a little bit ridiculous.
It was, I think it was, yeah, ridiculous is just about the right word for it. It started off normal enough, things you'd expect. And then near the bottom, it did go into the very minutiae of bathrooms to the point of toilet brushes and hand towels and things. So that one, I took the view of just speaking to the solicitor for the other side to say, I'm not taking instructions on a toilet brush. It didn't really justify my hourly rate of taking those instructions. And thankfully, they agreed that we wouldn't be talking about that. But I think a lot of contents can have that personal attachment for people. And it can be easy once you've gone through those big issues, as you say, you've been at court all day, if that's where you are negotiating it, to just think, oh, we'll divide them by agreement, it's fine. And then a few weeks later, you're getting a call from your client to say, well, how do we divide a sofa in two? Or there's only one set of cutlery. What do I do? So what advice do you give to clients in those situations?
I think it's very much look at the bigger picture. Especially this is usually an argument that happens at the end of proceedings, isn't it? And, sometimes people have spent months going through that process. And it's very much you have to take it in context. You have to look at the bigger picture and you have to think in 6 months' time, when I'm in my new house, will I mind if I've got that sofa or not? And the reality is probably not. And the other thing is, do you actually want to retain all of these items that were in your family home together when you're moving forward? So I think people do get stuck on the minutiae with that, because it can feel like a bit of a win-lose situation, which people do get very emotive about. And obviously, there are certain items that do have a very emotional value to people that not necessarily any financial value at all, and they can be the more difficult things.
Absolutely. And sometimes we have to get the house contents valued because they are that valuable, that they are assets in their own right. And it's then about making sure that that value gets put into the overall pot that we're looking at dividing, as well as that practical discussion of who's going to get it. And I think, in terms of certainly my experience, I try to raise contents with clients. Some people want to talk about it first thing, in
Mm,
terms of what's happened, because that's the reality of their situation. If they think, well, the house is going to be sold, every day they're looking around, they're seeing the items, that's what they can focus on. But I like to have the conversations early enough that you're not left at that point of having agreed everything and then we've got to agree contents. If there's something of value that you want emotionally or that you feel would work in your new life, let's raise it early. Let's,
yeah.
not make it into a bigger issue than it needs to be.
Absolutely. It's all about just dealing with things as early as possible and just removing the conflict as far as possible.
Absolutely. And if all else fails, flip a coin.
Absolutely.